Okay, let's try this again. First time I don't think worked out so well. But yeah, hi. I'm doing a live knitting while I'm just sitting here and looking after this handsome guy. Jingo. Hello, Jingo. No. Um, but yeah. So I'm just hanging out with this guy, looking after him while his owner is away, making sure he is taken care of. And yeah, so we're just hanging out this morning. I am working on my giant cabled scarf that I started back in August, I believe. August? August or September. August. I think it was August. And it's going really well. I was super despondent about it for the longest time because I just wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing. You know, what's the right thing? There's never a right thing. Yeah, I was all like self-conscious over, I just bought all this yarn, what am I doing? I'm just wasting it, making this giant thing that's not going to be anything. And after seeking your help and what can I say? I don't know. People encouraged me to keep going. So here it is. Bits of it. I do really love it. There's a few little mistakes in the cables, but nothing that is super obvious except for like there and there. But I'm not going to go back and fix those, mainly because I'm doing intarsia and fixing cables with a crochet hook is a pain in the butt, to say the least. I think it just looks better if you just leave it, if you're not that picky, and deal with it, because most people aren't going to notice those issues, only you will. Yeah, so I'm still in my PJs. I kind of wanted to bring this up on the last podcast, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like a right time for it. So I'm just checking here, guys. One more. So yeah, but like maybe I'll talk about it now. You know, we've just come out of Movember, as a guy, a male knitter. You know, Movember is something that I do try and observe each month because I think it's important for men's health. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize what Movember has kind of morphed into. You know, it started out as a awareness for men's health, particularly prostate cancer, and you know, for men to get them motivated to go to the doctor and get those things checked, because you know, when it comes to medical stuff, we're usually as a gender pretty resistant to admitting that we are not well, whether it's physical or mental. So Movember for me has become more of a thing for mental awareness and mental health, because that is something that I suffer with. And I think it's important for guys, for us to speak to this and put it out there, because yeah, it's important. We got to talk about these things. We got to support each other. So I do suffer from depression, not as bad as it used to be. I have come up with a few ways for myself to not manage it, but you know, get myself through. I guess that's managing. Get myself through those periods when I'm really feeling it. Otherwise, I will stay in bed for 2 weeks at a time. Consequences be damned. Who cares? I have in the past, in my younger days, stayed in bed for 2 weeks. Lost my job, all kinds of stuff. And it's a struggle. It's a real struggle. For me, part of it is being able to talk about it. So that's really important. To be able to actually speak to the fact that, hey, I'm not doing so well right now, and reaching out to my community, so that's my friends mostly, and saying, hey, I'm not doing so good. Maybe you can just, check in on me, or, just be aware that I'm not having a great time right now. And so that you can do that. But, another thing that I do is knit. I've got my yarn yoga. And for me, that is really important. It kind of gives me time to process thoughts. I can pick up my knitting and tell people I'm knitting, leave me alone. And the people in my inner circle will understand that it's more than just knitting. It's sitting and thinking and processing. I don't necessarily want to talk about things all the time. That can generally make things worse. My ex fiance and he would always want to talk about everything in the greatest detail and analyze it to hell. And I found that just made me worse. So I figured out what works for me. Everybody is different. But as part of Movember and bringing awareness and reducing the stigma of mental health issues, I really wanted to kind of bring up my own struggles. Yeah. And what else? Yeah, I mean, that's just part of it. Another part of it is being true to who I am and understanding what makes me happy in life, what fulfills me. I once had a psychiatrist, someone asked me during one of my very depressive states what made me happy. And that is something that I always keep going back to. What makes me happy? Not what I think makes other people happy, because I am a people pleaser. That's why I'm so good at my job. But what makes me happy? And there's a bit of an intrinsic selfishness there. And that's okay. I have learned in life that selfish has a place in everyone's life. It is a mechanism for us to look out for ourselves. It's only when you do it at the expense of other people where you are consciously hurting someone else that I think that it is bad. But to be selfish, I don't think is a bad quality in people. I have moments where, I need to look after myself. That's what's important. Because if, in the words of RuPaul, our great drag mother, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love someone else? Can I get an amen? And that is so true. So that is something I live by. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love someone else? How are you going to make that room in your life to give other people the love that they need if you are not showing it to yourself? So that is a little bit of Paulism. Thank you, Mother Rue. We learned so much from you. Yes. So turn. Let me get all my spider webs sorted out. There we go. Yeah. Been watching a lot of Netflix and TV lately. Just gone through all of Schitt's Creek. If you are one of the unfortunate few people out there who has not discovered the Canadian produced on our wonderful CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's called Schitt's Creek, spelled S-C-H-I-T-T-S, Schitt's Creek. And it's about a family, a wealthy family that loses everything and has to move to a small little town in the middle of nowhere. And it stars Eugene Levy and his son Dan Levy, who plays his son in the show, as well as a couple other amazing comedic goddesses. What's her name? Catherine. Oh my God. How do I not know this? Catherine O'Hara. Jeez, sorry, Catherine O'Hara. That was bad. Catherine O'Hara plays the mom, and she is, whoa, she is something. She has the best one-liners, for sure. It's like one of those people, that insults you, and you don't realize you've been insulted until like maybe 2 days later. Yeah. I think one of my favorite lines of hers is, well, put me down as RSVP me as pending. Yeah. Anyway, so been watching lots of Schitt's Creek, and so check that out if you haven't. It is hilarious. It is probably the best of Canadian TV ever out there. Usually Canadian TV is pretty terrible. There's a couple good shows out there, I guess. A few people could argue, but in my opinion, it's pretty awful. Very low budget stuff. If you want to see something some real good Canadian TV, watch Murdoch Mysteries. That shit will put you asleep. It's like Poirot, but slow Poirot. Anyway, so yeah, I've been watching that. A lot of movies. There was a really good one. I'm so bad with names. There was a really good one that was made for TV. It stars Mark Ruffalo. The Normal Heart. Guys, check out The Normal Heart. That movie is quite something. It's set in New York in the early 80s, during the HIV/AIDS epidemic breakout. So it was early stages of the HIV/AIDS breakout. The 70s had just ended, so it's sexual liberation is all over the place, especially in the gay community, because up until that point, you'd go to jail for a long time if you were gay. So there were a lot of people who were out being very sexually active, and the AIDS epidemic struck, and they had no idea what it was. And the movie covers particularly one individual, that Mark Ruffalo plays, he's incredible. Um, such a good character. He plays this guy named Kiki, who is a journalist, and Kiki wrote this very scandalous novel in the late 70s that kind of exposed what was happening in the gay world, and it was seen as very scandalous. And so he was kind of outcast in the gay community, but he could see, he was the first one to kind of witness what was going on with the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and he saw it for what it was, and he was the one that pushed and pushed and pushed and got the New York mayor at the time, who was in complete denial, to finally admit what was going on, as well as the U.S. government, because the U.S. government was also in complete denial. Surprise, surprise. Oopsie. Shit. Gotta knit that one. Bring that forward. Take that there. Yeah, so very touching movie. Matt Bomer plays Kiki's boyfriend, partner, who dies of HIV. And for the part, I think Matt Bomer went down to like 140 pounds or something ridiculous. Like, he was so skinny, and he just really got into the role. Seriously, guys, check out this film. It's one of the best films I've seen in a long time. It's based on a novel, and it's so good. So good. I also watched A Star Is Born. That was a good film. My boyfriend was making fun of me because I'm like, yeah, that was great. And he's like, do you remember what happened? I'm like, no, I don't. Because I was knitting, and I always knit when I'm watching TV and watching movies. But it was late, and I put my knitting down, and as soon as I put my knitting down, that's it. I'm done. It's over. So I watched the whole movie up until like the last half hour, and then I put my knitting down, and I promptly passed out. So I have to watch the end again. But oh my God, Bradley Cooper, so good. I don't think Lady Gaga will get a nomination or anything for it, maybe a Golden Globe. And they might get original song for the film. But Bradley Cooper, now that was a performance. He pretty much wrote and directed it, I think. Where's this one now? So, yeah, it's so good. So good. Check that out for sure if you haven't. Lady Gaga was incredible in it. I mean, I'm not like flawed by her acting, but yeah, it's right up there. You know, it was good. It was good. What else have I been watching? Lots of science shows on YouTube, because I'm a science geek. So I've been watching lots and lots and lots of science shows. How the Universe Works is the one that I really go to. It's my go-to. And there's a good one out there right now. It's like 5 hours of continuous streaming on YouTube. So if you go to How the Universe Works and check out their live streams, they've got some good science shows on there that are good to know along to. It's kind of just people talking in the background, kind of like doggy munching in the background. Yes. Oh, you're a good boy. So good. And yeah. 1, 2. Okay. So definitely thinking of writing this pattern up, putting it on my site, on my Ravelry page. Probably just chart it up and do the color changes. It's not going to be a super complicated pattern. It just really is repeating and has the colors. So I'll be doing that. Oops. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And what else? It's still snowing. Still snowing. Yeah, I've got I don't know, Christmas is around the corner. Christmas is not really a big thing for me, especially now. I really have become like a little bit bah humbug when it comes to Christmas, for various reasons. I mean, mostly it's just like, it's always a disappointment. It's always like people yelling and screaming. Everyone pretending to get along in my family. So this is my kind of second Christmas alone, familyless. Because I just, yeah. For those of you still watching, my mom passed away last year from cancer, from brain cancer, just before Christmas. And prior to that happening, my family essentially imploded, and my father behaved very, very badly, did some very stupid things, unforgivable things, and so now the holidays have kind of just become not really filled with magic, not a lot of magic happening. And that's okay. We make our own magic. We make our own magic every single day. And I have a lot to be grateful for and thankful for. I have amazing friends that I'm surrounded with weekly here in Calgary. And they are my new family. And these are the people that I am thankful for and happy to have in my life. Because these are the people that have really looked out for me and actually been there when I needed them. So, that is what my Christmas season is all about. Not about family, blood family, but about my chosen family. So, if any of you boys are out there watching, I love you guys. You are good for this man's soul. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. So this will be my second Christmas without my mom. And that, guys, is hard. It's really, really hard. Holy Django, you are noisy. Who knows, who knows, who knows? Okay. Well, we're running at 25 minutes now. Guess I've kind of been talking non-stop. I'm going to finish off this row so I can have a shower and then go cook my beautiful man some dinner for when he gets home from work. And I am going to that's what life's all about now. Keeping happy. I got a great job. Bike and hike all over the place with incredible people. Work for an amazing company. I have a lot of time off if I want it. You know, my work-life balance is good, and I've been through hell and back over the last few years. Really have. It's been hard, and to come out of it on the other side and actually say I feel good is a huge accomplishment for me. Because it's just been, since 2014, it's just been one blow after the other. And guys, life is hard. It's hard enough that you don't need these huge life-altering things to come along, but when they do, and you weather the storm and you come out on the other side and you're stronger and better than ever, you do feel invincible. And that's kind of where I'm feeling right now. Because things haven't been so good for so long, and then, you know, now they are. And these are the moments that we look forward to. These are the moments in life that are good. Just good. When you're just happy. Oh, there he goes. He's off to go see if he can find more bones. They're here, mister. What a funny dog. Yeah, it's over there. There it is. Yes. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, you know, it's hard. 2015, might as well just talk about it, hey? We're here. I'm not talking to anyone. I talk about these things with a lot of people. I am an open book. It's another thing with mental health that I have realized is don't keep it all inside for myself, because that is like poison. You got to talk about it. You got to share these things. That is what helps us grow and move on and become healthier, happier, better people. So, yeah, 2015, 2014, my fiance and I separated, and then we got back together for a short amount of time, and then we really separated. So that was a huge disaster. Very, very, very sad time for me. It was hard for me to manage those feelings and understand that somebody I had loved could be so hurtful and so harming. And so it took me a while to deal with that. And then as I was kind of coming out of that, that's when my mom was diagnosed. So I remember in 2015, I had about a month in the middle of summer where I was like, yeah, okay, life is feeling good. I'm like back on track. My asshole ex is out of my life. I'm in recovery. I'm in a good job. And then my mom got sick. And she was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and given less than a year to live. So that was devastating. And then during that time, my father was completely distant and left a lot of the care for my mom in the hands of my sister and myself and my mom's friends. while he was not around. A year after she was diagnosed, we found out that he was having an affair and had been lying to all of us. And while Mom was in hospital and in ICU and back and forth from the brink of death, while he was away on business trips, was off with his mistress. Isn't that nice? On vacations, having a good time. Yeah, real piece of work. So, after him not taking responsibility for his actions, we told him that he was no good for anybody around and that he must just stay away. And so he then froze my mother's bank accounts so that she had no money and no way to survive, and he disappeared. He then came back a little while later, and my mother obviously was crushed. She's dealing with her illness as well as her marriage falling apart. Her whole life basically was crumbling around her. She was devastated, and she lashed out at my father, and he lashed back, and one evening beat her severely, where the police came and he was arrested. And from that point on, I have not had a father, because it's all come out that, you know, he's had multiple affairs throughout everything. Never really wanted to be around. So it is better for everyone that he is no longer here in the picture. And so, you know, that's part of that. These are the wounds and the boulders that we carry in life. And the people that we expect to be our role models will often be the ones that let us down. And so I feel bad for him, because the way he has behaved is ensuring that he is going to live a very lonely life. But if he continues to behave the way he does, I will be no part of that. So, he's also tried to weasel his way out of my mother's will and change things and do all kinds of stuff. So, my father is no longer around, and we are happy for that. Yeah, gosh, that was a lot. Whew, oversharing, but not really oversharing, because this is who I am. This is who has made me who I am today, all these little things. The same time I was going through all of that with my mother and my father, I was working for the Canadian federal government in the Parks Agency as the national parks. And at that time, the federal government in Canada changed over its payroll system. And so for almost 2 years, I did not get paid either. Like, nothing. Not a dime. So not only was I going through a family crisis, I was having a financial crisis as well. Eviction notices and whatnot, because I spent all my savings trying to just live from day to day. But my fancy government job was not paying me because their payroll system was so screwed up. So I, on top of dealing with my mother's illness, I was also dealing with a bit of starvation, if you can say, because I had no money, I had no food, and I would have to do my job at Parks Canada, and then, hey, mister, cut it out. I would do my job with Parks Canada, then go home and have to collect cans so I could get enough money from the deposits to go buy dinner. Yeah, so that was my life. And then I met a guy who was very nice and supportive and very sweet until he wasn't. So then that all changed. And basically I've just been fighting for survival for the last year, 4 years. And now I am fortunate enough and happy enough to have a beautiful boyfriend who loves me very much and cares for me and doesn't care that I sit on the couch all day knitting. And that, my friends, is happiness. That is success. That is what success is in my mind, is I feel happy. Yeah. So, it is, later now. I've done that much since we started chatting. So I think that's like 6 rows. And I'm just I'm gonna shower and then I'm gonna continue this on the bus and keep going and probably do a podcast in the not too distant future. But yeah, more live knitting. Thanks guys, bye. Have a great Wednesday, happy hump day. If you are liking the podcasts and liking the live knitting, hit subscribe and something happened there. If you are liking the podcast and you're liking the knitting and the live knitting, hit subscribe and join the Burly Purly community. You can also find us in Ravelry under Burly Purly and Instagram for @Burly Purly. So, bye. Thanks for joining.